Hi, I'm Amanda Shekarchi, and I am joined by Tyson Ray Borsboom, who is based in Vancouver, but at this time of the recording, he is on tour and stopped in Nelson. He is known for his 2025 album TRB, and his latest album is These Days, which is out now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, Amanda. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, how is tour going so far?
The reception's been really great on the new songs. Um, the live performance, the way that we're playing it, they're just loving it. It's been super great. So super excited to kind of keep going and keep the momentum up and kind of just keep making new fans kind of for the rest of the month, playing more on tour.
That's beautiful. I love to hear all of
hmm
that. And yes, I'm so excited about these new songs. And yeah, congratulations on that record. We'll get into that in a sec, but who are some of your music influences?
I mean, I feel like I started early on listening to a lot of folk music, like Ben Howard and Donovan Woods and Gregory Alan Isaacoff, Lumineers, stuff like that. And then as things progressed, I, moved more into the country singer songwriters. So I love, you know, Charlie Crockett and Coulter Wall and Tyler Childers, Sergio Simpson. I listen to Zach Bryan, stuff like that. So I feel like those are, the artists that I really try to follow, just kind of you know, more on the singer-songwriter side of the country music, and then still kind of staying to my folk roots. So those are a lot of the artists that I really, really love.
That's awesome. And I feel like you can really hear that cross genre sound in your music, which I
hmm
think is really neat.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Of course. So, what's the inspiration behind the album these days?
I feel like my albums the past few years, there's no real. I feel like people make these like concept albums where they have like certain topics that they're going through. I think that my records in the last 2 or 3 years have really just been snapshots of my life in the years before I was writing the records. So I think they're just snapshots in time of relationships that I was in, or struggles that I was going through, or family dramas, or stuff that was going on with work, and just these situations with friendships, and just life happening, I guess. So that's kind of been, the TRB is that 2022 to 2024 things that happened in my life. And then, this new record was, a little bit of probably the tail end of 2023 into, mid 2025, just kind of, the struggles that I go with, and trying to, relate to fans, and kind of find some kinship in some of those struggles and, traumas, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And like, how did writing these songs, help you process these emotions or these events that you were going through at the time?
Yeah, tons. I feel like, songs like Let You Down, I wrote it about a girlfriend that had passed away in my early 20s. And I feel like it was something that I hadn't really thought about for a long time. And, playing it live, and seeing the reception from the fans, and hearing struggles that they went through in similar situations, it really, helped me process it. I find that my songwriting, in past years, I've always joked about, I really wish that I could go to therapy, but I feel like I can't afford it. I'm maybe getting a little bit closer to that point, but haven't gotten there yet. But I feel like my songwriting process kind of is, the closest thing, or the best thing that I can get close to therapy, in, singing about these topics and these things that have happened in my life. And then, finding people that have went through the same thing, and kind of, ways that they've coped with, situations that they've went through. So it's been extremely rewarding and beautiful process.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And I'm really sorry to hear about your loss.
No, that's
But
all right.
yeah, well, what advice would you have for people who are, going through similar situations?
Oh man, it's so tough. I mean, I feel like everybody grieves through that process in a different way. I mean, honestly, probably as cliche as it is, I think just do your best to put one foot in front of the other, and just kind of stay forward. I think that you know a struggle that I have is that I feel like sometimes things aren't going to get better, or things are not going my way, or things are just I feel like just not working out, and I feel like again, as cliche as it is, if you just kind of put one foot in front of the other, it's going to get better, and it's usually gonna work out. But you just got to kind of keep going. And I know that's super difficult. I know how hard that is, but just gotta try your best, and I think we can all get there.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I totally agree. It just,
Hmm.
doing what you can while trying to feel what you need to feel is so important.
100%.
Yeah, well, I want to get back to the record and the production process. What was that like?
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty spoiled. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but I've been working with my producer Phoenix Warren for such a long time that I feel like he has such a great grasp on where I am musically and also where I'm going. So, we've been working together for the last probably 4 or 5 years now, maybe even longer. I think we worked together in 2021 or 2022, and he kind of has watched my sound progress from live shows and my writing and everything like that. So um, I think that he just knows where I'm going just through seeing the live performances and everything. So as I progress from that folkier sound to the more country sound, I just go in the studio, I record the vocals, I record the guitar, and he pretty much already has the idea. Like, he knows what I want to do with the song. He brings the studio musicians in, they record everything, and then he kind of just sends it to me afterwards. So it's like when I was saying I'm spoiled. It's just because I go in the studio, I record my vocals, I record my guitar, and then he kind of just takes over. And a month later, he sends me a rough draft just to make sure that we're on the same page and it's going in a direction that I want it to. And then 2 weeks later, it's a mastered product. So feel very very lucky that I can kind of hands off some of that stuff. I'm not sure if that would please very many musicians. I feel like they want to be very, very hands off, but I feel like we think the same, and he knows where the songs need to be. So I just kind of let him take over.
For sure, yeah. And I feel like it's such a collaborative aspect with like bringing
Mhm.
in other musicians. Like, what is that like?
It's amazing. I feel so lucky. Like, there's such a great community. I mean, I'm now in Vancouver, but I'm still very intertwined with the Calgary community there. There's a little collective there called Pocono House with a bunch of very talented musicians, and it's where I found a lot of my bandmates, some drummers that I've played with, drummers on the record, pedal steel player, guitarist, bassist, kind of the whole shebang. So those musicians are, I feel like, more talented musicians than I could have ever dreamed to be on the record or to play with. So I feel very, very grateful to have them on the record and to be able to play live shows with them. If I would have never been introduced to that community there in Calgary, I really don't know where my music career would be. So I'm very, very grateful uh, for all those guys.
I love that. And I feel like, you
Mhm.
touched on this before, but like, having, a way where it's like, this is my vision, but also letting them play, giving them the freedom to creatively play in a way that,
Mhm.
they can express themselves. I feel like that's so big because it's like, sometimes the best work happens where it's like, you do your thing and we'll see how it fits into the greater whole.
I have a saying that I really, really love that I pick the player and I don't pick what he plays. So I usually just pick musicians to come on tour with me and to play on my records that I just really love what they do, and I just want to give them the creative freedom to just do their thing. So I bring them on tour or I put them on the record and just say, I think you know what you're doing. I think you know what the song needs. So you just go ahead and shred that lead lick or, lay down that bass line or throw the drums on it that put in the direction you want. And I'm almost positive it's going to be fantastic.
That's awesome. And one of the
Hmm.
songs that I really feel like sums up the theme or like the concepts of this album is These Days. And
Yeah.
I really like this line where you say, feeling all sorts of things these days, I lose sight of my way. What does this line mean to you?
The general topic of the song, to push it are, sometimes we feel like we're not heading in a direction that might make sense or like feel like we've veered off a path per se. And I think that if we just, it's kind of the concept that we were talking about before with, let you down. If we just kind of put one foot in front of the other and kind of stay true to who we want to be and who we, think we are, that, it's going to work out and we're going to kind of get back on the right path. So it's just, the one foot in front of the other.
Definitely. And I feel like another track that's such a big one when it comes to like, expressing yourself and just having that space that we all, no matter who we all have this space to cry or to be emotional or feel what it needs to be felt is Marley and Me. What does that one mean for you?
Yeah, Marley and Me started as a song that I wrote about me kind of not struggling, but just like exploring my emotional vulnerability. I would like to think that I'm a person who's pretty in touch with my emotional side, or a male that's pretty in touch with my emotional side. But I realize that it's more vocally rather than expressive. I feel like I maybe talk the talk, but maybe not walk the walk sometimes because I usually don't let myself cry. I don't cry very often, whether it's in these big important situations or it's for a movie or whatever it is. So I just wanted to try to kind of tell myself that it's okay to let those emotions out and not just talk about it or whatever, but to actually express it and let it out. And then I think the more that I wrote the song, it kind of became this more general topic of men's mental health and saying that it's okay to cry and it's okay to have that conversation, it's okay to have that you know time that it's okay to not be okay. And I've had some friends and even roommates and close people in the past to me that have had not great mental health, so realizing that you know I always wanted them to talk to me. I would never want anything to happen to them or for them to, obviously go down that dark road, God forbid. So it's a conversation about me trying to, you know, work out my emotional health and then just, the larger conversation of men's mental health and, just opening up the conversation and making sure that, your friend or your neighbor or your dad or your son is doing okay.
That is so beautiful. I love the concept. What is a career milestone for you so far?
Yeah, I did a little run of shows with a friend of mine, John Bryant, recently, which really felt like, it was a step in the right direction, which I really, really loved. That's definitely one that comes to mind. Um, I played Lilac Fest in Calgary, which was one that I've been trying to get on for such a while. We played a stage that was at the end of 8th Street, and it's not even that high up, but it's just like they get thousands and thousands of people there every day, and it's just all the way down 8th Street for like 15 blocks. When you're up on the stage, you can just look out and just see like thousands of people down 8th Street, and it's just so beautiful. So you feel like you're playing this like 10,000 person festival. There's probably only the immediate 100 people in front of you really paying attention, but it's a very cool feeling. So I really enjoyed that. I felt like it was a great milestone.
I love that, especially now
Hmm.
that it's like summer and festival season. I feel like
Yeah.
that's so fun.
Hmm.
Yeah, and what do you have coming up next that you could share?
Yeah, so I mean, all the tour dates are going to be great. Try to hang out as many small towns and big towns alike as we can between Nelson and Winnipeg between now and then. So anybody in the Winnipeg area, we're playing Saskatoon, Swift Current, Calgary, Medicine Hat, Creston, Radium. Nelson, all those towns. So anybody anywhere between Vancouver and Winnipeg can kind of see us on the road in the next uh, month.
That's awesome. And for those who want to learn more about you and your music, where can they find you?
Yeah, TysonRayBorsboom.com. Tyson Tyson, Ray Ray, and then Borsboom is my last name. Borsboom. Tyson Ray Borsboom. Should be all the shows, all the new music, everything on there. a bunch of new merch for the tour, and then I got vinyls on the way right now, which I'm super, super stoked about. So there's a vinyl sign up on my email there, so you can find it.
Amazing. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to chat with you, and congrats on the album and tour.
Thank you, Amanda. I really appreciate you having me. Thank you so much for your time.